What is going on, Hive Warriors? It's your boy Edward V, and today we're going to talk about 3 new tips that I have not talked about yet in this video. These tips will help you with intermittent fasting and the important aspect of losing weight with intermittent fasting. I'm gonna go ahead and break that down in this video. Stay tuned. Alright guys, not gonna bog you down, but you know that you can burn up to 1,000 calories with jump ropes. And if you're trying to find an affordable yet good quality jump rope that has an ergonomic design, has a swivel design, aluminum handle, and is built for speed so you can get the most jumps possible, then you can't go wrong with the Fledge Fitness jump rope. You can click on the top right hand corner of this video or down in the description box below. And of course, as always guys, thank you for your support. Now let's go ahead and jump right into the video. All right guys, so I've talked about tips before in the past, and I've talked about things like increasing your protein intake or doing resistance training, things to that nature. But I want to add a little bit more, stuff that I haven't told anyone before, stuff that I haven't put in my YouTube before in terms of tips that will actually help you based off of the science that we have and even the psychology and the physiology of the human body. So what's the first thing that I'm going to talk about in terms of these tips? Watching less television, reducing your television usage. And this is only because there are literal psychological warfare going on in terms of you controlling your hunger, especially if you're in the beginning stages of intermittent fasting, and also succumbing to the pressures of advertisements that are literally designed to make you hungry. So you might see an advertisement for steak or advertisement for burgers, and you might not want to just eat that burger. You might not want to eat that specific burger, but it triggers the feeling of hunger. And if you haven't eaten for a long time, which tends to be the case with intermittent fasting versus eating normally 3 meals a day, then your body's going to be more prone to those advertisement warfare, or that psychological warfare. So what you want to do to sidestep is actually reduce the amount of television that you're consuming. This can actually help you if you do feel that, hey, listen, I want my TV, all right? Don't take my TV away from me. This is more for those who suffer with sticking to the intermittent fasting protocol. It tends to be for people who are beginners or people who are kind of weighing off of it because they've done multiple days without doing intermittent fasting. They're trying to bounce on. They've done bouncing off and bouncing on moments throughout the week, and it's becoming much harder. And these advertisements are not helping their case to fend off those feelings to want to eat. Remember guys, ghrelin is released. It's a hunger hormone. It's trying to get you to eat because your body always wants as much energy as possible. Your body doesn't mind being fat because that helps it have something and feel more secure. So the more for your body, the better. But because of the abundance of food that we have, you can overdo it. So you have to be aware of that, and you have to try to counteract that psychological warfare that's actually being pushed upon you through these advertisements. So try your best to reduce television as much as you can. And when you get comfortable, because there is a point when you do get comfortable with that fasting period and you don't even really think about the food, no matter how much food is thrown in your face. When you get to that comfortable point, then you can go and resume that television watching that you try to wane off to get comfortable. But just keep in mind that if you ever feel that, you know, there's some turbulence within your intermittent fasting system, that you may want to pull away from television until you can get that back and stable again. You'll be surprised. You won't know why it is that you want to eat, but in reality, it's just these little things that are being fed to you psychologically that make you break your fast. Now let's go ahead and move on to tip number 2. I know I talk a lot about resistance training, and it is very important because resistance training adds that calorie partitioning element that helps move more calories to your muscles, which starve your fat even more, on top of the fact that you're doing that metabolic switchover with body fat burning. But also, cardio is also important. They're actually both important, but Cardio is uniquely important in terms of what it does for you overall. It has the EPOC effect, which is your excess post-exercise oxygen. A lot of people think of cardio, for example, going out for a run, being that run. The experience and the calorie burning and the entire benefit is coming from the actual act of running. You might run for 3 miles or for 4 miles, and then you come back and you feel that your job is done. But little do you know that you actually are getting more bang for your buck in terms of what you're expecting out of that run. Because the higher your intensity is, and it actually has nothing to do with length of time, it's just higher intensity, which is why I recommend jump rope and the Fledge Fitness jump rope for only $16.50. Not breaking the bank, but getting a good quality jump rope. My jump rope is besides the point, but when I say that, it's because something like jump ropes are incredibly efficient for the shorter amount of time that you use it. 30 minutes on a jump rope can burn up to 1,000 calories versus something like running, which will be about 600 calories, depending on your body weight, but this is the average amount of calories burned. So it's all based on intensity. The higher your intensity is, the more EPOC you have, which your body does not immediately go back to its resting metabolic rate, to the metabolic rate that it normally has when you are not doing anything. Your body is still pushing this high metabolic rate where they're burning more calories to try to regulate everything because of its high intensity that you just went through. It's trying to regulate your oxygen. It's trying to release lactic acid. It's trying to do as much as it can to get you back to resting, to get your body back to resting. And guess what? This process of just doing that continues to burn calories way after you're running. How many hours do you think that we see this continuous calorie burn after your run, or continuous heightened calorie burn? You probably think, well, I might get a good 3 hours after that. Or I might get 4 or 5 or 6. The actual numbers can vary, but studies have shown that up to 38 hours of EPOC is seen when someone does a high intensity exercise. So you could do a high intensity exercise, depending on how intense that exercise is, you can get up to 38 hours of continuous heightened calorie burning on top of the fact that you're doing intermittent fasting, which is targeting your body fat specifically, which further burns body fat and also, of course, helps you lose weight, because the more calories go out, the better it is for you. That plateau gets broken because you don't have to deal with certain elements of plateaus when it comes to just dieting and not exercising. That exercise is adding that extra element of burning calories, which is helping you with your diet at the same time. And not only when you're doing it, because when you're doing it, you're burning a lot of calories, but even after. And like I said, studies have shown up to 38 hours after. Don't leave these beneficial elements on the table when you can grab it up and use it to reach your own goals. And we're going to move on to number 3. Try to exercise right before breaking your fasting window. And the reason that I say this is because the stars kind of align at this moment. Your body is requiring calories, and it doesn't affect your EPOC, your excessive post-exercise oxygen consumption. It doesn't change that at all. You're still going to be burning even though you're eating. I know it feels like you're doing 2 things at the same time and one thing is being stopped for the other, but it doesn't do that. And the reason you want to do this is because it will make intermittent fasting easier, because you actually are hungry, very hungry, and your body's sending massive cues to eat, to repair muscle tissues, for amino acids, for the nutrients, because of the fact that you did either resistance training or high intensity exercise. So you want to make sure that you kind of time your exercise right before. Now, keep in mind, this is just a tip, so you don't necessarily have to do this, and whatever is best for you in terms of your lifestyle is actually best, period, because longevity and adherence is the number one thing, even above the intermittent fasting protocol. Adherence is most important, but if you can manage it, it can definitely help you. If you find yourself falling off of intermittent fasting, jumping back on and falling off and jumping back on, and you want to give yourself the best path forward so that you stick to it as much as you can, then having your exercise set right before you break your fasting window is probably going to be the best for you, because those hunger cues are going to kick in right when it doesn't even matter anymore in terms of throwing you off of your system. You'll be able to eat and still be doing your intermittent fasting protocol without missing a beat. All right, guys, those are my 3 intermittent fasting tips for weight loss, I guess, for 2021. And let's hope that 2021 is a little bit better than 2020. Once again, guys, I want to go ahead and thank my patrons from my Patreon, and I'm going to go ahead and put their names right up here. And as always, guys, I'll see you on Wednesday for another FAQ. Peace!